Greetings! It is I, Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. Today we're going to continue our discussion on some anime from the winter 2016 season. This episode, I'm talking about using them in your BESM games. So, let's dive into it. I've already introduced these three series. Let's talk about Hidan Aria AA. So you're going to have about 350 points, I recommend. And you're going to have your characters Bunte. Now, you can set them in any sort of setting you want. You can put them in, I would recommend keeping them to one of the Bunte high schools. You could do the Tokyo Bunte High if you really want to. It's the one that's shown in the actual series. You could make up one of your own. I think they do give you information in the source material of other schools, but maybe not as much vision of them. But you can always mimic that too. So once you have your characters in, you're of course going to have them do sort of training things, work together. They're going to solve crimes, deal with criminals. They might deal with things like our main characters dealt with the Bunte killer in the main series. You could have them deal with that. You could deal with evil organizations. You could deal with sort of evil Bunte. They have characters that are sort of evil Bunte, mixed bag. You could have sort of rivals that way also. You could deal with sort of an overarching criminal arc, or you could just keep it to simple crime-stopping things going on. And they, yes, are students, but they're getting involved because you're going to have your characters be more on the elite side, similar to what Aria is. So next up is AntiMagic Academy. I recommend 450 points. Make them students at the academy. I would recommend keeping it similar. So you could do any platoon you want, but I really recommend that you go with a platoon, either as the 35th platoon, you could have all your characters in, or one that's similar to it. One that's more of a group of misfits, because that adds a little bit more of flair to your characters, that they're not just the carbon copy kind of military kind of people, that have your players make their characters have that little bits of flair and stuff. It makes it for more interesting. And then you could have them deal with various witches, recover artifacts, deal with other organizations, perhaps even deal with Valhalla, the witch organization that's in the anime. You could have them deal with that. You could have them compete with other platoons, go on training sort of missions. It leaves a lot of open what the platoon, the cast of characters can do. And you do want to focus a little bit around the school life they have there, but also include in, the fact that they're inquisitors going against witches. And you could even have the different characters do a lot of different things. You could allow one of them to be a witch if you wanted to, similar to with the anime, that they're just a member of the platoon, either as repentance, or they decided to join there rather than the other side, just for sake of their morality. It can happen. And of course the last one I'm going to talk about is Cardfight Vanguard. I'd say give your characters 150 points when building them. You can go about this one of two ways. The first way, of course, is you can have the card fights resolved with actual card fight. Now, you could use definitely Vanguard if that's what you have, or you could use a different card fighting game if that's what you and your players have. You don't necessarily need to use the actual card fight from, you use Vanguard from the series. You could use a different card game if that's the one you're familiar with. There's Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon. Those are the really popular ones, or you could use a more obscure one if you really wanted to. You could find an obscure card game. Whatever card game you use, you can easily fill it into the point in time where Vanguard is in this series. This works for any card game, that you could make a card game-based game. So yes, there's playing out the battles, where you would have, deck versus deck, playing it out, doing that sort of thing. You can do that. Or, which I probably recommend more, because the card fighting it brings in that you're doing another game within a game, which maybe isn't always the best thing to do. Sometimes it's fun, but you don't want to do it constantly. So I would suggest coming up with a series of skill checks, depending on what you think each of these events will be based around. Things like being very, kind of having sleight of hand-based skills, maybe even things like seduction skills, intimidation skills, things that give advantage to either side, and they have to constantly go back and forth to see who wins. So it's rather a test of advantage against two sides competing with die rolls. And of course you can come up with modifiers to each of these encounters, so that you can make these counters very dynamic. And granted, they will probably go relatively quick, but that way you can get a bunch of them in and sort of have these resolve very quickly. And then I would focus more around whatever overarching story you're having. You could keep it simple, and you could have it like your team is trying to be the very best and get to the top of a tournament circuit. You would also have it that it deals with some of the other problems in the world. You could deal with some of the things involving around clay. You could do with, oh, there's some kind of weird invasion from there, or there's an organization that's trying to harness them for evil, or there's just a dark organization that's trying to corrupt Vanguard in the first place in general. You could come up with an overarching plot that they've had a bunch of throughout these seasons, that you could take one of them, or you could make up your own kind of overarching plot and then use it in its place. It's very easy to, but I would definitely recommend putting some kind of plot in that way. That's probably going to be your best bet if you wanted this to go a longer campaign rather than a shorter campaign. Tournaments are much better for a mini campaign rather than a full one. So that's it for today. I told you how to use these 3 anime series and take them and use them as a setting for your BESM games. If you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like this video. It shows your support for the channel, for the Empire, for the work I do. Please subscribe if you already haven't. We're always looking for more members, more citizens. And please share this video. If you know anybody that would learn anything from it or would just enjoy it, please share it with them. And until the next time, I bid you farewell.